Hey, Hinch will be with us at 8 o'clock. And Dan Dickerson, the tradition continues, will be in studio here with us at Music Town in Hockey Town with us in person. You guys love talking to Double D.
Yeah, great to have him in person.
Yes, indeed. I do want to mention also the starting pitchers for tonight's game. This afternoon's game. Eduardo Rodriguez against Lucas Giolito. Giolito, alrighty, he was a pretty good season last year. ERA under 4, and he's given the Tigers trouble before. White Sox actually have an injury too. Okada's out for like 6 weeks, so we can sit and bitch and moan about the Tigers' bullpen injuries, but a lot of other teams are having injury problems as well. I mean, especially the Mets, all the money you're paying. Like Scherzer missed. I don't know if he's pitching today, but I know he missed opening day. DeGrom's out for a long time.
Yeah,
I mean, it sucks. It's amazing to me, and I don't know how you feel about this as a player of a sport that has a lot of physical contact. How many injuries baseball players get?
Well, and I think we're going to see a lot of it early on because spring training was obviously abbreviated. There's a reason why they're allowing teams to have more pitchers on staff. They don't think they're going to be going as deep in games, but you're going to see hamstring injuries. You're going to see a lot of these injuries that I think more so this year in the month of April than you've seen in a lot of years. And you go back to 2020 and what they had to do at that point to get the season going and how quickly they got in. We kind of saw it at that point as well, but it's you wouldn't think of it as an injury-riddled sport, but they are, at least most of them, finely tuned athletes.
Well, they're more hard throwers than there ever has been. I think there's a direct link to that. Back in the day, Frank Tanana changed what he did.
Correct.
You don't see a lot of guys do that anymore. Or you had more knuckleballs even back in the day. They're crafty pitchers. It's just throw heat.
Right, and that's part of the reason why we have pitch counts. These kids, a lot of times, when kids, when they were kids, they're travel baseball with their heavy schedules that they have.
Oh yeah.
It wears and tears on them.
It does. We saw that in the Little League World Series last year. Like they've got to have every player on that team has to be able to pitch because they play so many games. Jack is going to play 65 to 70 games, and he's 11 years old. You can't pitch that many games at 11 years old. You've got to have 8 or 9 different arms, and then you move that forward. These kids, and you say kids, these players have all been playing such intense schedules, so much more intense than they did 20 years ago.
Right. Is that bad? I know it's a great experience. And
It's bad if a coach will take advantage of one individual and they try and pitch that kid way too much at a young age, or if they allow them to do too many pitches at a young age and put stress on an elbow or an arm that shouldn't be.
But aside from that, I know it's opening day, so maybe we should say this for another time. Is having that many games for an 11-year-old kid necessary?
Well,
is it good?
I think it's fine because when I was growing up, and I'm sure it was the same thing when you were, you would go to your local park and play every single day.
Yes.
It may not be a scheduled game, but now you don't see kids doing that because they're actually playing games. So whether it's observed or not observed, I mean, they're still playing pretty much the same amount.
I think the magic number, having coached, is 50 pitches. Like, if you throw 50 pitches, you're not supposed to 2 out of 3 days.
Right.
It's 35. I do think that number, you can tell the kids are, stressing. I've never, and I try to do it the right way. I've never violated the pitch counts. Now, you can do it unless you're in a tournament. Because it's an honor system. Where if you're just playing, if you're playing out of league, so you're not playing the same team, you just play, or the coaches don't talk between leagues. You can abuse it, and I just have chosen never to do it.
Right, and that's where you get into, you've got quality coaches, and you've got other coaches that, for lack of a better term, they're just taking advantage because they want to win. And at 11 years old, yes, there's value in winning. You got to teach those lessons, but you've got to keep in mind that they're 11 years old or 12 years old, whatever that age group is, and what's best for that individual as an athlete or for their future may not be what's best for the coach on that given day.
And speaking of Little League, the Taylor Little League team will be honored today during the opening.
Oh, they're going to be here.
Yes.
Right. It's going to be a great
Stoney's
day.
going to drive him out in the Camaro or whatever.
Yeah, John's going to drive that. What was the car? What was the car you drove?
It was a Spitfire. Stick shift.
All right, so season starts today. There's more optimism. You know, they always say, spring breathe, opening day, you always feel good, and you do because of the party. But for the first time in a while, there's actually some real hope for this baseball team. Now, I'm a little bit more pessimistic than others. I think they'll be around 500, probably a little below it, in my opinion. And that's because what we talked about, the injuries to the bullpen and the April start of who they play and that type of thing. Hopefully I'll be wrong. But most people around here think that 500 is a realistic goal. I think that's the goal. I think for me, that should be the realistic goal. Obviously, as the athletes, the goal is winning the World Series. But
Right. And we've heard Casey Mize say that
Yes.
when we've talked to AJ Hinch. They talk about the mindset and their goals. Like, if you're not going to shoot for that, then what the hell are you doing?
right, I get that.
But as a fan, we're looking at it from, okay, what is the next step for this franchise? How do they get to being a World Series contender? And this year, the step should be that they are above 500, because with the expanded playoffs, if you're above 500, you're in the conversation. Now, it doesn't mean that you're going to be a playoff team, and we're not sitting here, on opening day saying this team is going to the playoffs, but you've got to that's a landmark that this team has to attain. And if you have young talent on a team that is fighting to be above 500, like a Spencer Torkelson, the way that you get above 500 is Strickland. There's Stoney.
It's unbelievable. I'm like sitting under a tornado.
Yes,
The wind
they turned the blower on, and
Yeah.
Stoney's papers.
My papers are going all over the place.
But if we're talking about being above 500, that means Spencer Torkelson has probably played pretty good as a rookie.
Yes.
Riley Green comes back and is probably contributing in that center field position. Your pitching staff is taking that next step. Maybe Tarek Skubal or Casey Mize is in the conversation for having, maybe in the
All-Stars conversation.
the all-star conversation.
Yes.
That's you. If you've got two, possibly three players in that conversation, not that they're going to have three players in the all-star game, but now all of a sudden that's the next step for this team.
Yeah, and I think they have a plan, and I think they're going to go with the plan. And Chris Ilitch talked about it with Wojo in the Detroit News today about the plan. And, if you believe what he says, it makes sense. Spend when necessary. They spent on, the payroll definitely jumped up a little bit this year. Not as much as, people like to believe because, guys,
Right.
they lost guys. They're going to lose Miggy in a couple of years. But he claims he's going to be doing it just like his dad did, where Al Avila's like Jimmy D was. And eventually, after people forget how long it took for the Red Wings to be legitimate when Ilitch took over. Now, Mike Ilitch the Ilitch family has owned the Tigers for a long time, so they've gone through some,
I would just say this. The biggest thing I took from the article is that I don't think he's fallen that far from the tree of his parents. And I think there's an impatience in this town and a belief that he is cheap. And I will not buy into that yet. He's going to spend when he needs to spend. I believe that. You can call me a crony. I don't give a crap. I think he's doing the long play. You brought up the Red Wings.
Yeah.
They bought the team in 82. They had a fake run in 87 and 88.
Under Demers. They weren't that good.
Right. And then they retooled it with great leadership and drafting, and they passed the torch from Jimmy D to other
Scotty, really.
Scotty and Ken Holland,
right.
and who's the other guy, the scout, the European scout.
Oh,
I can't think of his name. Anyways, same thing with the Tigers.
Right.
I will
Hakan
contend.
Anderson.
2006 was fake. Everything came together, and it was very magical. But the real run started in 09, 10, and 11.
Well, 08 is when he really started to spend to a certain
Right.
extent. Well, look, he spent money for Pudge, he spent money for Maglio, and then they made the Cabrera trade, and then they made the investment of Cabrera.
So he says he's trying to duplicate what his parents did, his dad especially. And so if he's kind of going by that playbook, you've got to give it a little more time. And I know people are sick of time, but these two rebuilds were absolutely bottom barrel.
Well, and here's the question is, because we are rebuild city, and we hear from Chris Ilitch talking about we have a plan, we want to be aggressive, but we want to make sure that we don't get distracted, and we want to make sure that we have sustainable success. We hear that from Brad Holmes and Sheila. We hear that from Troy Weaver. We're hearing that across all of the four teams. So are fans willing, and with each team it might be a little bit different. Patience has run out with the Detroit Lions.
Correct.
I thought the most interesting thing out of that story is that he compared Al Avila to Jimmy D.
Yeah.
Because that tells me that there will be a passing of the torch. If he's like his dad got Scotty, his dad got Leland, his dad got Dombrowski, one of the most respected GMs in baseball.
Well, he got Hinch.
And he got Hinch. He got Iserman. People, just let it play out a little bit before you bag this guy.
Are fans willing to be patient to get to that, like follow the plan and get to sustainable success, or do they want them to just spend and win right now?
Well, I think a lot of them do want to have it right now, but hopefully this season, at the trading deadline, if the Tigers are good, then you'll get to see exactly what they can do. All right, what they'll spend. 248-539-9797 is the telephone number. Capital Mortgage Funding, the telephone number for them is 1-800-LOW-RATE. Big baseball fans. Glenn's and Burke have been watching baseball since, I don't know, the old cliche Moby Dick was a guppy. Call them at 1-800-LOW-RATE. You get great personal service. They'll ask the questions. They'll give you the right answers. Was Capital Mortgage Funding one of those companies that put people in bad mortgage programs, 10, 12 years ago? No. Are they one of those companies that put you in a bad mortgage program now? No. They're honest. They're consistent. And when you see them on television, you don't sit there and say, Glenn's, he's always been at Capital Mortgage Funding. You see somebody else? No, where did he work before? No, they're consistent. Great customer service. Call them today. 1-800-LOW-RATE. Capital Mortgage Funding, the best mortgage banker.
Capital Mortgage Funding is powered by Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, NMLS ID number 2289, Equal Housing Lender.
97.1 The Ticket. Traffic.
From the WWJ AM 950 Traffic Center, this report brought to you by NECA IBEW Local 58. A freeway closure is coming up this weekend. 75 southbound from Square Lake Road to 14 Mile, northbound from 696 to 14 Mile, all beginning 11 tonight until Monday morning. Put the expertise and skill of NECA signatory contractors and IBEW electricians to work on your commercial, public, industrial, or residential construction project. Productivity and innovation matter. Learn more at poweringmichigansfuture.com. I'm Michelle Pena with traffic.
The Detroit Red Wings host the Columbus Blue Jackets. Screening tomorrow at 6:45 on 97.1 The Ticket.
This is former Esiason with an Odyssey Sports Minute, sponsored by AutoZone. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Just as Congress and 6 state attorneys general intensify the heat about the NFL's workplace issues, guess what pops up? The Brian Flores lawsuit plot now has thickened. Former NFL coaches Steve Wilkes and Ray Horton joined as plaintiffs, while Mike Mularkey revealed that the Tennessee Titans conducted sham Rooney Rule interviews after hiring him. This is going to be interesting. I'm Former Esiason.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone, America's #1 brakes destination. We have the pads, rotors, drums, shoes, and brake fluids to improve your stopping power. Right now, save 15% when you get any 2 Duralast rotors with the set of Duralast brake pads. Missing a tool? Ask about our free Loan a Tool program and borrow the tools you need to get the job done.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Claim based on data from the MPD Group 2021. Deposit required for Loan a Tool.
You're the one who protects the flock, and that requires an eye for detail. Because when safety and well-being are on the line, it's the details that can save lives. Even when no one else is watching, you see everything. Grainger gets you, and we're here for you. And all the ones who get it done with a wide range of safety products and solutions, plus board-certified safety consultants here to answer your questions. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
My Friday nights, you're
usually spent out. But since my friends got Xfinity Internet, Friday nights in are where it's at. Because Xfinity has supersonic Wi-Fi faster than a gig to power a house full of devices all at once. We got our show streaming, playlists bumping, and games galore. Now that's unbeatable internet for every great night in. Come on, y'all. The coasters aren't just for decoration.
Learn more about supersonic Wi-Fi from Xfinity, or get started with 50 megabits per second internet for $25 a month for 12 months with a 1-year contract. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today to learn more. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Ends 4/28/22. Restrictions apply. New Connect Internet customers only. Equipment, taxes and fees extra and subject to change. After term, regular rates apply. Gig Wi-Fi requires gig internet and X-Fi gateway. Actual speeds vary.
May is Michigan Wine Month. Celebrate with a getaway to northern